Hello and good evening. You're with DD News. I'm Gautam Roy. Well, the Modi government has taken several major steps to boost the country's agricultural sector ever since it took office. And many of those moves, ranging from the brand new crop insurance scheme to massive budgetary allocation to increase farm credit, are highlighting really today in President Pranab Mukherjee's address to the joint sitting of the two houses of parliament ahead of the budget session. And on the late edition tonight, we'll talk about the prospects for the agricultural sector in the general budget to be presented in less than a week's time. But let's first take a look at what the President said earlier today.
While addressing a joint sitting of both houses at the start of the budget session, President Pranab Mukherjee laid stress on his government's positive moves to boost the farm sector.
My government has recently launched the farmer-friendly Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana with the highest ever government's contribution to crop insurance and the lowest ever premium rates for farmers.
The President further said that assistance to farmers hit by natural calamity has been increased by 50% and eligibility norms have been relaxed. Soil health cards will be distributed to all 14 crore farm holdings by March 2017 for judicious application of fertilizers, lowering input costs and bettering soil health. Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana is being implemented to promote organic farming, under which 8,000 clusters have been developed so far. Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana rolled out for assured irrigation, expanding cultivated areas by improving water use efficiency and drought proofing. Government is committed to the philosophy of per drop more crop and Jal Sanchai for Jal Sichan. Unified Agriculture Market is working at setting up a common e-market platform to connect 585 regulated wholesale markets for best market price to farmers. Sugarcane arrears have been brought down from 21,000 crore rupees to 720 crores through targeted policy interventions in the last 1 year. There will be additional production of 17 lakh metric tons annually in the next 3 years due to the new urea policy 2015. Providing 100% neem-coated urea has improved efficiency and helped plug subsidy leakage by preventing illegal diversion of subsidized urea to non-agricultural use. Highest ever urea production in 2015. Blue Revolution is underway to ensure integrated development and management of fisheries with central outlay of 3,000 crore rupees. Highest ever egg production has taken place due to Poultry Venture Capital Fund and Rural Backyard Poultry Development. Food Processing Fund operationalized last year to provide affordable credit to designated food parks. 5 new mega food parks have been operationalized in the last 19 months. 33 projects made operational under the cold chain scheme in the last 18 months. President also referred to the government's efforts to bring about a second green revolution in the eastern part of the country.
My government has taken steps for strengthening agricultural higher education, setting up 109 new KVKs and 3 new Agriculture Technology Application Research Institute. A 24/7 Kishan channel has been launched to provide information on policy initiatives, prices and other agriculture-related subjects for the benefit of farmers.
The President also made special reference to the government's efforts to boost rural development. Clearly, the government's intent has always been to bring city-level living standards and added prosperity to our villages through budgetary and non-budgetary initiatives, and more can be expected in the forthcoming general budget. Bureau Report, DD News.
Well, nearly 60% of the country's population depends on agriculture as a source of livelihood, and a lot of hand-holding is needed in this sector as well. What can we expect as far as the union budget is concerned? Well, to talk about it tonight, we have with us Professor Ramesh Chandra of the Niti Aayog. He's a member there with expertise in agriculture. And we also have Dr. Tajmul Haq, former chairman, Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices, and that's CACP. Welcome, gentlemen. First, if I could ask you, Professor Chanda, in terms of all that the government has done over the last, over the time that it has been in power, The uppermost, of course, right now, the latest move is the crop insurance scheme, the new crop insurance scheme. That in itself is revolutionary and could be very helpful. But how can it be further built upon?
You see, our present crop insurance scheme, it just covered 1/5 of area and about 22% of farmers. So this new scheme, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, it aims to quickly reach about 50% of the farmers. In order to reach 50% of the farmer, we need to make this scheme attractive to the farmer. We need to build this scheme in such a way that major perils which affect crop yield, they are covered. Earlier, we were having this crop insurance, this insurance scheme, which mainly cover crop before any loss to crop before harvest.
Right.
But in the new Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, any loss to crop which is there in the field, if there is any loss up to 2 weeks after harvest, that will also be covered.
Correct.
Then there is another very important feature that sometime because of prolonged drought, the crop cannot be sown. That kind of thing was not at all covered by earlier insurance schemes. So this new insurance scheme also include pay compensation to the farmer for prevented sowing. Similarly, if you look at the premium that is to be paid, lot of changes have been made in that. Also, one big drawback has been that normally this agriculture insurance, crop insurance, we follow area approach.
Right.
And till recently, we have been relying on mandal yield or block yield. But under this scheme, the unit of insurance will be Patwari Halka or Panchayat village. Because sometime you will find that if your unit is large, then some part of it is affected by natural calamity, some part is not affected, and average may come out to be such that it is a normal kind of situation.
Okay. So, Dr. Haq, then we can expect this will be built upon somehow in the budget as well. There might be higher allocation for this particular scheme in the budget?
I think so. This should be there because already the way things have been designed, it will require more funds to be from both the central government as well as the state governments. So from the central's budget this week, I'm sure there will be higher allocation under crop insurance scheme. And as I agree with Dr. Ramesh Chand when he says this is a very revolutionary kind of a scheme. In the sense, I think it is not just 50%. My expectation is that more and more farmers will be covered, maybe even 80 to 100% for three important reasons. Number one is the premium rates are now reasonably and substantially very low as compared to what it was before. Secondly, there is no cap now on the indemnity to be paid like earlier. I mean, there was a cap. So this is one. And secondly, there will be instant payment. At least in some cases, 25% of the estimated loss or expected loss will be immediately paid to the
So as awareness grows about it, more and more farmers will come on board. We'll talk about this further, especially how this can be further extended to other sectors in agriculture as well. We'll take a short break at this point. In late edition, we'll be back in just a bit. Do stay tuned.
अंजू, ये चोट कैसे लगी?
वो बाथरूम में पैर फिसल गया था।
छुपाने से कुछ सॉल्व नहीं होगा अंजू। ये सब आखिर कब तक? हाँ,
कभी मायके से पैसे मंगाओ तो कभी लड़की पैदा हुई इसका ताना। मैं करूँ भी तो क्या अनीता? छोड़ना, मेरे घर की बात है।
ये तुम्हारी इज्जत की बात है। अपने पति के घर में इज्जत से रह पाना तुम्हारा हक है, और वो जो कर रहा है गैर कानूनी है। इसकी कंप्लेंट करना जरूरी है। डरो मत। डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस एक्ट के तहत तुम्हारे पति को पहले वार्निंग दी जाएगी और एक प्रोटेक्शन ऑफिसर भी अपॉइंट होगा जो उसके बर्ताव पर निगरानी रखेगा। इसमें काउंसलिंग, इमरजेंसी में शेल्टर होम और मेडिकल की सुविधा भी है।
फिर भी हालात नहीं सुधरे तो घरेलू हिंसा अधिनियम 2005 के अंतर्गत आप निकटतम पुलिस स्टेशन में कंप्लेंट कर सकते हैं। अगर सुनवाई नहीं होती है तो राष्ट्रीय महिला आयोग की मदद भी ले सकते हैं। घर के अंदर होने वाले जुल्म को छिपाओ मत, बल्कि आवाज उठाओ।
बहुत बहुत बधाई हो, आपने अपने बच्चों को पोलियो से बचा लिया। लेकिन जब तक दुनिया में पोलियो का एक भी केस है, पोलियो का खतरा बना हुआ है। इसीलिए अब सरकार देश में पोलियो इंजेक्शन की शुरुआत कर रही है ताकि आपके बच्चे को मिले डबल सुरक्षा। अब अपने 1 साल से छोटे बच्चे को टीकाकरण सत्र में पोलियो की तीसरी खुराक के साथ जरूर दिलवाएं पोलियो का इंजेक्शन। क्यों राधा, इससे क्या होगा पता है ना?
हाँ दीदी, पोलियो से डबल सुरक्षा हमेशा के लिए।
याद रहे, पोलियो की तीसरी खुराक के साथ जरूर दिलवाएं पोलियो का इंजेक्शन।
अधिक जानकारी के लिए अपने पास के स्वास्थ्य केंद्र, ANM या आशा दीदी से संपर्क करें।
अरे वाह, हार तो बड़ा सुंदर है तुम्हारा। आर्टिफिशियल है क्या?
आर्टिफिशियल? असली सोने का है। ढेरों डिजाइन्स में से चूज किया है मैंने।
फिर तो BIS हॉलमार्क का निशान भी जरूर होगा। सिर्फ डिजाइन्स और चमक से नहीं, असली सोने का भरोसा होता है हॉलमार्क का निशान, क्योंकि सोना सिर्फ आभूषण नहीं है, ये है जिंदगी भर की पूंजी।
जागो ग्राहक जागो।
किशोर अवस्था हम सब की जिंदगी का बहुत ही अहम पड़ाव होता है, जिसमें हम सब बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण शारीरिक और मानसिक बदलावों से गुजरते हैं। इस उम्र में खून की कमी यानी अनीमिया काफी आम है, जिसके कारण कमजोरी, चिड़चिड़ापन और थकान जैसी शिकायतें आती हैं। सप्ताह में एक बार IFA की नीली गोली लेना किशोर अवस्था में विकास के लिए सहायक होता है। ये नीली गोली शासकीय शालाओं, आंगनबाड़ी केंद्रों और शासकीय स्वास्थ्य संस्थाओं में निशुल्क मिलती है। मैं आशा करती हूँ कि आप सब किशोर और किशोरियां साप्ताहिक IFA की इस नीली गोली का सेवन जरूर करेंगे।
अस्पताल में गंदगी हो सकती है, कुछ छूना मत और बीमार पड़ जाओगी।
अरे दीदी, अब सब बदल रहा है।
इतनी साफ सफाई?
जी, हम सब ने मेहनत की है ताकि आपके इलाज में कोई कमी ना आए।
बदल रहा है, बदल रहे हैं। स्वास्थ्य केंद्र अब स्वच्छ हो रहे हैं और ये आपके ब्लॉक में भी संभव है। बस पहल करनी पड़ेगी हमको और आपको भी। स्वच्छता का संकल्प करें, स्वास्थ्य केंद्र का कायाकल्प।
Welcome back to the late edition. We were talking about how the government's agricultural thrust has been highlighted by President in Parliament today. And Dr. Chandra, if I could ask you, how can we expect the government to build upon the insurance scheme that we were talking about, the new crop insurance scheme, further in terms of allocations? You've had a role in the budgetary exercise as well. Can you throw some light on that without going into specifics?
Yeah, I feel that 3 dimensions are very important. The first dimension is cooperation of the states.
Okay.
This scheme is to be implemented ultimately by states. The central government is very keen that we implement this scheme from this Kharif season as well. But it depends upon preparation of the state machinery, how they take it. That is first thing. Then second is obviously when we are increasing crop coverage, when we are reducing this premium to be paid by farmers, and when we want more farmer to come in the fold of insurance, and we are talking not more of the same, we are talking of more of a much better quality.
Okay.
Obviously that is not possible without more resources. If you read this scheme, it just talk about large number of new initiatives, and they all require that in order to implement it in its true sense and in order to ensure its benefit reaches farmer, we will require sizable increase in budget.
We can expect the finance minister to be generous.
That provision has to be made.
Yes, and Dr. Haq, if we talk about reducing our farmers' dependence on the vagaries of the weather, especially the monsoon, what can we expect there? Because we have the Sichai Yojana as well, and there were handsome allocations for that in the last budget too. Do you think that is something that will also get added focus this time around?
Yes. The Prime Minister has always been emphasizing on this, like Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sichai Yojana, how it is going to change our farmers' life. Because without irrigation, without water, you can't really improve your productivity. And also for that, he's saying that there should be not just flood irrigation, but you need to keep in mind the water use efficiency. You must get maximum output by using minimum water.
Yes,
so
per
that is
drop more
per
crop.
drop. Yeah. So that is his focus. Second thing is that even in this, as Professor Ramesh Chand was mentioning, it needs some kind of cooperation of both, not only center and states, very together. And in the case of crop insurance, my feeling is that as some of the states, I think, express openly, they have some reservations in the sense, in terms of getting adequate money to address this issue fully at this stage, because they say when the amount of indemnity which should be paid, again that has to be shared by the center and the states. All the center shares is major. Like for the country as a whole, they are going to cover the major share. But then, even then, some of the states, I've seen, even some of the progressive states, they have some kind of reservation which they should not have if they are really keen to serve the poor farmers in this country which are in distress for the last few years particularly. And this is a very timely kind of effort on the part of the central government to push this kind of scheme so that farmers' distress can be really addressed and reduced. Second thing is, in some cases, of course, I think there are issues, but those issues are very minor issues which the state government sitting with the central government, they can sort out, and then it can be fine-tuned and improved further. But for the time being, whatever has been given in terms of the guidelines and in terms of how we should go it, I think the state government should come in the fold and try to implement it.
And can we then also expect a role for Manrega as far as this infrastructure boost is concerned, Professor Chand, to be somehow linked to boosting agricultural infrastructure?
We are talking about integrating MG Narega, particularly with the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. Before I come to that, I would like to add one point to remove misconception about necessity of crop insurance. You see, development of irrigation reduces vulnerability. It does not eliminate vulnerability of crop to natural perils.
disasters.
Like 14-15 is a best example with us that untimely rains, excessive rain could do more damage than deficiency of rain. And in 14-15, decline in wheat output, in which more than 95% area is irrigated, was more than the decline in rice output. So just to feel that with the expansion of irrigation, we will insulate our agriculture from risk is not better placed, we are able to reduce the risk. Now coming to your point of Pradhan Mantri, our Narega, of course Narega we are having because this is a scheme to provide employment, but at the same time we do not want to provide unproductive employment. Over time, as we have learned from the experience, this is getting linked for asset creation. And now there is a watershed component in Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, and there is RRR, revival of water body, rejuvenation of water bodies, and also on-farm irrigation development, development of farm pond. They are all part of Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. It is not only major irrigation and minor irrigation. So since it involves those components where readily this rural labor can be used, so there is a very strong case for convergence of these two schemes.
That sounds great. We'll talk about other changes that are required and that can be brought through the budget itself in just a bit. Stay with the late edition.
अस्पताल में गंदगी हो सकती है, कुछ छूना मत और बीमार पड़ जाओगी।
अरे दीदी, अब सब बदल रहा है।
इतनी साफ सफाई?
जी, हम सब ने मेहनत की है ताकि आपके इलाज में कोई कमी ना आए।
बदल रहा है, बदल रहे हैं। स्वास्थ्य केंद्र अब स्वच्छ हो रहे हैं और ये आपके ब्लॉक में भी संभव है। बस पहल करनी पड़ेगी हमको और आपको भी। स्वच्छता का संकल्प करें, स्वास्थ्य केंद्र का कायाकल्प।
दीदी ये देखो।
H1N1 फ्लू को फैलने से रोका जा सकता है खांसी और छींक के बाद और बच्चे को छूने से पहले अपने हाथों को साबुन से धोकर H1N1 फ्लू को फैलने से रोक सकते हैं। इन्फेक्शन रोको, बनो हीरो। इलाज सिर्फ चुने हुए अस्पतालों में उपलब्ध।
अरे वाह, हार तो बड़ा सुंदर है तुम्हारा। आर्टिफिशियल है क्या?
आर्टिफिशियल? असली सोने का है। ढेरों डिजाइन्स में से चूज किया है मैंने। फिर तो BIS हॉलमार्क का निशान भी जरूर होगा। सिर्फ डिजाइन्स और चमक से नहीं, असली सोने का भरोसा होता है हॉलमार्क का निशान, क्योंकि सोना सिर्फ आभूषण नहीं है, ये है जिंदगी भर की पूंजी।
जागो ग्राहक जागो।
आप सबने दुनिया भर में क्या मिसाल बनाई है। जिस सफाई से आपने कचरा वहीं फेंक दिया। और मन्नू आंटी क्या कूड़ा फेंकती हैं। ओलंपिक्स के गोला फेंकने वाले भी शर्मा जाएं। और ये देखिए, लक्ष्मी भाभी की सफाई तो गांव-गांव में प्रसिद्ध है। हमारे सुखिया भैया मन की करते, जहां सोचा वहीं शौच कर दिया। ये देश जो आप ही का घर है, उसे क्यों गंदा करते हैं? थोड़ी शर्म कर लो, सोच स्वच्छ कर लो।
अगर एक बार 125 करोड़ देशवासी तय कर लें कि मैं गंदगी नहीं करूंगा, तो दुनिया की कोई ताकत नहीं है जो हिंदुस्तान को गंदा कर सकती है।
स्वच्छ भारत, एक कदम स्वच्छता की ओर।
Welcome back. We were talking about how the government's agricultural thrust has been highlighted by the President in his speech in Parliament today at the start of the budget session. And, let's talk about how farm input costs can be reduced and how farming can be made more remunerative as well. And if I could ask you, Professor Chand, again as a member of Niti Aayog, what sort of thought do you think the Finance Minister might have put into his budget as far as these two areas of concern are there?
You see, the main purpose of reducing input use or cost are two. One is to make product cheaper, and second is to increase income of the farmers.
Right.
That is possible through technology, that is possible through efficiency, just to take one example.
And also through shifting more and more to organic farming?
That profitability part of organic farming take time to get established.
Okay.
In the initial stages, it may not be very profitable.
Okay.
But in the long term, if you just find that premium price is available for produce, you are able to reduce cost of chemicals. At that stage, it happened. But the first 2-3 years, it may not happen. That's why it requires support. But through technology, through in Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, we are talking about more crop per drop.
Yes.
The essence of that is that how we can use less input to get more output.
Okay.
So we are looking for new method of applications, like butter. You apply through drip rather than flood irrigation.
Naturally.
Fertilizer application rather than just broadcasting. You go for efficient method of use. So technology, then new kind of practices which helps, like in rice. Now many people are talking of SRI.
Yes.
That SRI help you in reducing the cost. So there are many ways in which cost can be reduced, and this is again priority of the government. You may be aware that government constituted a task force on agriculture, and one of the 5 items taken by task force is how to make farming remunerative.
Okay, I'm running out of time. A common market as well, which the government has initiated, that will also be hugely helpful, Dr. Haq. Final comment.
A market has been the major constant for the farmers for the last several decades. In fact, we have been talking about it, but for the first time, I think the government is trying to give a shape to national agricultural markets.
And this will be e-linked as well,
yeah,
so that will also be
the farmers will
majorly helpful.
benefit.
Let's hope that these measures do what that for the farming sector, which has not happened so far, and brings the sector out of a lot of worries that it has encountered of late, especially because of unseasonal rains and of course vagaries of the monsoon. And let's hope that the finance minister can do something substantial for the farming sector in the upcoming budget as well. Thanks for watching Late Edition tonight. For news and updates, do stay tuned to DD News.